I was happening, y'all. You're Rico from StreetScores, and we have two major topics to talk about today. First of all, Washington apparently is getting somewhat good news. We got to see if it's actually true or not. But John Kahn is saying that from what he's hearing, maybe the Noah Brown injury is not serious. And then the second half of this video, we got to talk about Washington having one of the best off seasons out of the entire NFL from this 2025 off season. That came from Bleacher Report. We're going to dive into it. They have a whole ranking of the 25 best off seasons in the NFL. You'll probably be really excited to hear where we rank. But before we get into everything, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all for supporting every video the way that y'all do, leaving likes, comments, and everything, man. Like I said, I've been super busy. Really want to get to the point where I can start to read and reply to a lot of comments and things like that. So just stay tuned. Without further ado, let's go dive into this video right now, man. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so let's go all the way back, because back on June 11th, what was it, like day 2? I think that was day 2 of mandatory mini camps for the 2025 Washington Commanders, and Noah Brown was carted off of the field after catching a ball and going to the ground. And apparently he stayed down for a few extra beats. Then he slowly walked to the sideline. So that's what made me be like, okay, maybe there's something there. I mean, of course, maybe he was walking very gingerly and things like that, trying not to put pressure on wherever the injury is or anything like that. But the fact that he could walk to the sideline was really encouraging. Like, there was some optimism there. But then apparently after that, he got carted to the building. Now, the thing that made me lose a lot of my optimism is that after he got help to the sideline, he threw his helmet in frustration. And you know, that's typically the telltale sign of a player letting you know, yeah, this is really bad. When somebody throws a helmet, it's not just because of the pain. I think it's when it starts to really hit them at that moment, like, man, I'm probably going to be out for a while. Like, this probably kills my season. Who knows? Maybe it kills my career. Of course, the pain is really bad and all of that. But usually I think that thrown helmet, the slamming of the helmet is like the man, like I'm sick of this and this is a bad situation. And so, of course, prayers to Noah Brown and everything like that. But the reason why we're here is because, according to John Kahn through his show, he said, I don't believe it's anything serious. That was the exact quote on the Noah Brown injury. So maybe he thought that the injury was worse than it actually was. Who knows? I mean, let me read to you the full quote from a couple of days ago of John Kahn basically doing a wrap up of everything that happened in mandatory minicamp. He said, quote, people are asking about Noah Brown. I do not have an update on him, and I don't think we're going to get an official update on him until training camp, honestly. Does he open up on the PUP list? I don't know the injury, but I don't believe it's anything serious. Continuing, that's one thing that it does sound like. But what it is and the extent of it, just know that the team isn't saying anything, and I doubt that his side will say anything either. Understand that. We're just going to have to wait for a few more weeks before we know what the issue actually is and what the timetable actually is. Whether it's short or whatever, I don't know. But again, I do not think it was anything serious, unquote. And that has me super excited because, again, for the reasons I've already explained, I was starting to think, man, this is a out for season situation. And then if you're looking at our wide receiver roster, even with after trading for Deebo Samuel, getting Jalen Lane in the 4th round, I mean, losing Noah Brown would hurt. At the same time, though, you kind of got to get used to Noah Brown not being available for you all 17 games of every season. I don't believe he's gone an entire season of playing 17 games yet in his career. He was injury prone before we signed him, right before the start of the 2024 season. That was like one of the downsides. Like when he came over, you know, with the Texans, with the Cowboys, he's had an extended history of being hurt quite often. And again, back in early 2024, like we signed him like right before the season started in like September, I said, man, he can do this, he can do that, he can do that. He's going to be a solid wide receiver 2 for us. Finally, Terry McLaurin has some help, but I did give y'all the heads up that this guy has been injury prone throughout his career, and the injuries are always so random. And even for us, towards the end of the 2024 season, we're building momentum. We're starting to go on a win streak. It looks like we're going to make the playoffs, and then suddenly he suffers a lacerated kidney. Like, that's a car crash type of injury. That's not very typical, even for football at the highest level in the NFL. Like, I don't know. Maybe he has some bad luck. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'm hoping that this is not serious. To hear from John Comm himself, I don't believe he's saying that for nothing. I don't think he's just randomly throwing that out there to stir up anything, because he could have easily have tweeted this. It would have went far more viral than him just saying it on his show or his podcast. So he's not even trying to clickbait people or anything like that. He just gave his opinion, and I don't know. This is John Comm. It seems like he's basing this off of what he's heard so far from whatever sources, the coaching staff, maybe not even something he's heard that we don't have access to. Like, maybe it's not even like a secret or super insider with the organization situation. It's probably just from watching Dan Quinn talk about the situation in his body language. And so, you know, John Comm has been doing this for the Washington Commanders, going back to the football team, going back to the Redskins, probably the longest out of any reporter we have involved, beat reporter, all of these guys involved with the team. And for whatever reason, something that the way that they've talked about Noah Brown, or maybe he doesn't have a background source close to the situation, that again, he doesn't know what the injury is. He doesn't even know exactly what body part or how long he may potentially be out, but something, his intuition is telling him to say, I don't think it was anything serious. So there has to be something there. But of course, losing Noah Brown would really hurt us. I'm hoping he could be back as soon as possible. He's not necessarily a guy that needs training camp. He's already had a lot of a season, not a full season with Jaden Daniels, but a lot of it. And they started to really build their chemistry by the time like week 2 and 3 started. You know, he finally started to, you know, figure out how to, not only did he learn the offense, but the offense learned him. Jaden Daniels learned how to get the ball to him. Cliff Kingsbury learned how to call the right plays to keep him involved. Noah Brown was even a huge part in our run game. He did a good job blocking defensive backs so that we can gain more yards in our run game plays and things like that. I remember it was like one Brian Robinson touchdown where Noah Brown was the lead blocker, blocking somebody all the way almost back to the locker room type of thing. So he's a big part of this offense, even outside of the receiving game. But the receiving game is important too, man. I mean, think about it. Of course, Terry McLaurin led our team in receiving yards last year with 1,096. Second was Zach Ertz, a tight end. Then third was Olamide Zaccheaus, who's not on this team anymore. And then fourth was Noah Brown with 453 receiving yards. But I want to point out the fact that Olamide Zaccheaus is ahead of him with only 506 receiving yards, only 53 more, even though he played in 6 more games. Noah Brown only played in 11 games last year for us. Olamide Zaccheaus played in all 17 and only had 53 more yards than him. I think Noah Brown, if he played 6 more games, he would have surpassed Olamide Zaccheaus. So this is a pretty big part of your offense. And again, he's also a good run blocker. And he's the only receiver with some actual real size to this receiving core right now. You know, Deebo Samuel's really strong. Terry McLaurin is arguably one of the best contested catch receivers in the NFL. I've already given y'all stats over the past 2-3 years showing y'all that he literally, at least statistically, is the best jump ball receiver, which is crazy because he's not even a good hands catcher. He catches it with his body, but he does it so consistently. He's elite at that. But Noah Brown is 6'2", and he's pretty much noticeably taller than everybody else in our receiving core except for Luke McCaffrey, who was still willing to develop. Now, granted, he has developed some. He had an all-star mandatory minicamp. I mean, that was the best 3-day streak that Luke McCaffrey has put together since we drafted him last year. He never had like a 3-day streak of stringing together practices like that until just this past mandatory minicamp. So the trajectory is up. The development is starting to show. He even said it himself. The game is starting to slow down for him. We brought in Wes Welker to help him with some of the nuanced things, which is really all he's missing. I mean, he's new to the position. And I didn't even mean to drop a bar like that. You know what I'm saying? But this guy just started playing wide receiver just like 2 years ago. So, of course, he's going to be raw in a lot of the technical refinement things. That's why we brought Wes Welker in here. And that's also why you don't just sign a rookie for 1 year and get rid of him. You know, the guys take time to develop, and I think Luke McCaffrey may jump onto the scene and become a more dependable target and a big playmaker for this offense. That's going to be huge because, again, mind you, I've shown y'all the relative athletic scores next to each other. Comparing him to the Christian McCaffrey, his brother, whether you put them both as receivers or both as running backs, Luke McCaffrey comes out with a higher relative athletic score no matter what. So the potential is easily there. But not having Noah Brown still does make me a little nervous about this receiving core. I think Jaden Daniels, instead of a sophomore slump, I think if anything, he's going to be even better going into this season than he was last year. And then, I mean, also when you think about it, adding Deebo Samuel to the group, only going to make your receiving core better than what it was last year. But not having Noah Brown changes things a little bit. I think Deebo Samuel is going to ball out, but having Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, and Deebo Samuel as a very dependable three-headed receiver monster has me extremely confident going into the regular season and eventually the postseason, because we going all the way to the Super Bowl, y'all. But I think Noah Brown is a huge piece of this offense that Cliff Kingsbury, Jaden Daniels, and everybody would be quite sad about losing, man. Because as much as I love Deebo Samuel, he's not necessarily the most technical and nuanced and refined wide receiver specifically. He's like a running back wide receiver hybrid type of guy. He's impossible to tackle. But as far as like running a perfect all 9 parts of the route tree and things like that, getting wide open every single time that you need him to, whether it's at X, Y, Z, that's not necessarily his bag. He can kind of do it, but Noah Brown's more dependable in that department as far as being a nuanced wide receiver, and a nuanced wide receiver is a little bit more consistent, a little bit more dependable in, you know, certain clutch situations like third and short. You hope Deebo Samuel can grow into becoming that guy, but I think that's going to be far more Cliff Kingsbury dependent. Cliff Kingsbury putting Deebo Samuel in the right situations, and again, I think he's going to ball out. But I think he's far more Cliff Kingsbury dependent, whereas Noah Brown, you just throw him out there as a Z receiver, it's 3rd and 3, you can pretty much depend on him to get open no matter who's covering him. And so that's a piece of the offense that you'll potentially be missing right there. But again, I think we will have a surge in Luke McCaffrey's development. I think Zach Ertz is still going to be Jaden Daniels' most dependable safety blanket type of target. I think Terry McLaurin, after we pay him, is going to burst onto the scene and have an even better season than he had last year. And again, like I've already said, I've been very complimentary of Deebo Samuel since we traded for him, especially these last few weeks, where I'm really starting to see the vision as to, like, I don't think he's necessarily going to have a 2021 season again, but this guy is going to ball out, and I think he's going to be, by the end of the season, ranked as one of the best wide receiver twos in the NFL. Like in the same light of like a T. Higgins, but in a different way, because again, they don't have the same skill set. But Deebo Samuel is going to be a monster in this offense. I'm telling you right now. But having a Noah Brown healthy takes a lot of the defensive attention away from Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin, from Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin if Noah Brown's healthy. If defenses have to account for the fact that there's this guy out there that's 6'2", that knows how to run routes, that, I mean, remember last year before he got hurt, he was leading the NFL in forced pass interferences. Now, that's not something I necessarily want to depend on a consistent basis for Jaden Daniels just throw it up there and just assume Noah Brown's going to force a pass interference penalty on a defensive back. But, I mean, there's a reason he was doing it. There was a method to the madness. And so, if Noah Brown is doing his thing, he has another year under his belt, working in this offense, gaining and growing more chemistry with Jaden Daniels, defenses won't just be able to ignore the guy. Let alone, especially if we start to get a run game going, like my boy Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt starts to ball out, the defense will have too many things to worry about, and Noah Brown's going to play a large role in that. So I really hope he's good to go. I mean, again, I'm not exactly sure what John Comm is basing his opinion off of, but I don't think he just said that for no reason, because again, he's not trying to clickbait. He could have easily have thrown this on Twitter. He easily could have done an entire article on this and marketed it and sent it everywhere. Look, Noah Brown's healthy and things like that if he wanted to. And it was like a real quick thing, like before he even dove into the video. That was like his intro, like, hey y'all, you know, just quick thoughts on Noah Brown real quick before we really dive into what I want to talk about. So again, I don't think he was doing this to stir up any hype or any attention. I think whatever basis he has on this, whatever background knowledge, maybe there's something to it. Again, we won't, and the sad part is, like he mentioned, we're not going to get an official update probably until training camp starts, which mind you will not be July 20 something, until July 20 something. So do not hold your breath on this, but I do kind of want to just, the main reason I'm talking about this is to kind of calm y'all nerves, because I know that Noah Brown injury happened right at the end of mandatory minicamps, basically, because it happened towards like the end of day 2, and then by the time we got to day 3, whatever, maybe it was on purpose, by design, maybe. I'm not saying that it was, but maybe it was by design that they didn't even have his MRI scheduled until after the third and final day of mandatory minicamps were done. So we have no update, and they're not obligated to give us an update until training camps start late July, somewhere in the 20s. Dan Quinn is not going to speak to any microphones unless he wants to, unless he's going on somebody else's show or podcast, but he's not going to have a media scrum again, an official press conference, until late July when training camp starts. And we're so far away from training camp that we don't even exactly know the official start date of it. Like, we don't know the literal day when players have to report and when we actually start practices yet. That's how far away we are. So again, just want to give y'all the heads up. It's going to be a while before we get an official update on Noah Brown, but maybe by the time we get it, it will be positive news, because John Comm seems to think that it's nothing crazy. Now, when he says, I don't think it was anything serious, is this the extent of, okay, not serious, he won't miss the entire season, not serious, he'll be back by postseason, not serious, he won't miss any regular season games, or not serious, he won't even miss training camp, he should be good to go by the time we get to somewhere late July. Who knows? I'm just trying to basically get y'all to calm y'all nerves. I know we have a long time to wait, and so I just wanted to make sure y'all already, from John Comm himself saying it may not be that serious, so don't worry about it for this next month and a half, basically. Now let's go ahead and keep it pushing. Shouts out to Bleacher Report, because they did an entire article ranking, this is Gary Davenport. Back on June 7th, he ranked the 25 best moves of the 2025 NFL offseason. And in the beginning of the article, so you can kind of get a feel of where this is going, he said, we are nearing a tipping point in the 2025 NFL offseason. Sure, there will still be some impactful free agent signings. We saw one just a few days ago when Aaron Rodgers signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. There are vets who will find new homes and a trade or two as we move further into the summer. I mean, you still have guys like Von Miller and Zadarius Smith out there that we may want to look into. Justin Simmons at safety. Who knows? But we have just about hit the point where what has happened since March will matter less than what has occurred between now and week 1 of the regular season. I agree. How teams adapt to new schemes, how players adjust to new teams. Hey, that's a bar. The always dreaded training camp injury that completely changes a team's outlook for 2025. Those are all things we do need to take into account. So it appears a good time to look back at all that changed this offseason, whether it's coaching hires, veteran signings, or rookie draft picks. In all three categories, there have been moves that were head scratchers, others that were okay, and some that could have a major positive impact for the franchises savvy enough to make them. The last group is the focused here, the wisest of the wise. So the top 25 moves. Starting with 25, they said the Cleveland Browns quarterback carousel, so apparently they liked it. They didn't love it, but they liked it. 24, the Bills getting edge Joey Bosa. 23, the Cardinals signing edge Josh Sweat from the Eagles. The Eagles, speaking of them, re-signing center Cam Jurgens. The Titans signing guard Kevin Zeitler. And that makes a lot of sense, too, to be able to go and, do what you got to do to protect your recently #1 overall draft pick. And then number 20, the Falcons attacking pass rush. They went and got my Georgia dog Jalen Walker and my boy James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee, who was one of my favorite players in the entire draft. And then they also went and signed Leonard Floyd in free agency, so the Falcons weren't playing there. Then 19, the Jacksonville Jaguars trade up for Travis Hunter. I like that. Shouts out to North Georgia in the building, you know what I'm saying? 18, Aaron Rodgers signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 17, Lions signed cornerback DJ Reed, and I remember a lot of people in the Commanders fan base wanted him. Then 16, New England Patriots hire head coach Mike Vrabel. I think that is going to be really important. The Ravens draft Georgia dog safety Malachi Starks. A lot of Georgia in this list. Pittsburgh Steelers trade for wide receiver DK Metcalf. The Seahawks remake their offense. 12th, the Jacksonville Jaguars hire head coach Liam Cohen. I think that is going to be pretty important. 11, the Dallas Cowboys trade for George Pickens. I think even though that's a Georgia dog, I think we're going to be just fine going against them. I still predict us to potentially sweep the Cowboys. Then 10, the Los Angeles Rams signed wide receiver Devontae Adams. I think that was huge. The Cincinnati Bengals at 9 extended Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, even though they're struggling to sign Trey Hendrickson, and their rookie in Shamar Stewart has yet to sign his contract and hasn't shown up to a single practice. I mean, he's been there for a couple of them, but he hasn't participated. Then 8, New England's defensive rebuild. They weren't playing. They went and got Milton Williams and several other guys out there. Then number 7, the Denver Broncos doubled down on defense. I liked a lot of the moves they made. I remember they ended up, aren't they the ones that ended up with Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw? Like crazy. They're probably going to have the best defense in all of football next year. I'm not going to lie. Then number 6, but I mean, that's not a worry for me because Jaden Daniels is going to be a part of and probably have the best offense in the NFL. And I think our offense is going to be so great that we could even put up 30 on the best defense in the NFL in the Denver Broncos. So I'm not worried at all when we play them. Then number 6, the Raiders hired head coach Pete Carroll and offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. I think that's a little bit more controversial. I don't think that's automatically going to be great like some of the other ones that's listed higher above, but it is what it is. Then 5, the Jets signed quarterback Justin Fields. They're very high on that. Even as a ex kind of Georgia dog, I'm still a little worried about that one. Shouts out to Kennesaw though. Then number 4, Minnesota Vikings bolster the trenches. I thought that was good. Jonathan Allen's a part of that group. Then number 3, the Raiders traded for quarterback Geno Smith. I can kind of see that, even though I don't think that's necessarily going to go anywhere serious. Like, I don't think they're going to go out there and win double-digit games and make the playoffs or something like that. But, I mean, I guess that was a decent move, but that's too high for me. But then second, they have the Washington Commanders. They said the Commanders go all in. They don't even have one specific move like most of these that I've given you previously. That's the reason I wanted to read them to you as well, because there's a lot of like, okay, this team signed this guy. They traded for this guy. For us, number 2, they said the Washington Commanders go all in. We're the only team that they said that about, because even the Chicago Bears at number 1, they said the Chicago Bears offensive overhaul. So at best, some other teams were like, okay, they put all of this effort into the offense. They put all of this effort into the defense. The Commanders, we're the only one where they feel like we just went all in on all sides. They said after their surprise run to the NFC Championship game last year, the Washington Commanders shoved their chips into the middle of the table this offseason with the trades for wide receiver Deebo Samuel and offensive tackle Laramie Tunsil. Samuel gives them a sizable upgrade at wideout opposite of Terry McLaurin, while Tunsil is one of the better blindside protectors in the league. Now imagine if we go and get like a Justin Simmons at safety in free agency still, or maybe like as a Darius Smith, maybe you want to give Jadeveon Clowney a chance, maybe you want to give Von Miller a chance, but I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know right now, like I've been saying for the past few weeks, at this point, we're not signing anybody until we've put together a few training camp practices, because what's the point of signing one of these veterans before you even get the chance to see if one of these young guys can do it themselves? Why would you just automatically bring in a Von Miller immediately before the younger guys even have one chance to practice with actual pads on and contact to show what they really can actually do, and you potentially stifle their development? You're taking away reps from them that they could be utilizing to get better and better. You know what I'm saying? Those guys will be there. There's no arms race to go sign Von Miller right now. It's not like his phone is ringing and everybody's trying to get him and he's waiting. No, everybody else is waiting right now. We're chilling. You know what I'm saying? Let's get the training camp. And of course, we kind of assume that we have a pass rush issue right now. But you at least got to see it, because who knows if Javonte Jean-Baptiste, our 7th round pick from last year, just takes a step forward. Maybe Dorrance Armstrong takes a step forward. Maybe Dietrich Wise coming over from the Patriots is really good. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Javon Kinlaw playing defensive tackle and edge fixes a lot of things for this defensive line. I just feel like we just gotta wait and see type of thing. No use in stifling the development of any. I mean, Jacob Martin we brought over, who I feel like is literally just a 1 year younger, more athletic version of Dante Fowler. Let's see what these guys do before we just go out there and make a signing and potentially waste any money. And most importantly, getting in the way of if any of the young guys' developments. I really want those guys to get a chance. Even Frankie Louvu, we've been seeing them at mandatory minicamp working after practice one-on-one with Ryan Kerrigan, our pass rush specialist, on his outside pass rush moves. Like, Frankie Louvu, even though he did a great job last year of getting like 8 sacks, it was primarily going up the A-gap on delayed blitzes, design blitzes, things like that. But he wasn't just outside the tackle doing pass rush moves, swims, clubs, push and pulls, all of that type of stuff. So that's the type of stuff he's working on now. So maybe he'll start to do that this year. So I think this pass rush will be pretty good. We may not even necessarily need one of those guys. We got to at least wait and see, because I think this offensive line is going to be top 5. And if this defensive line can get pressure on Jaden Daniels off of this offensive line, then I think we'll be pretty good to go. So shouts out to Bleacher Report. They feel like we had the 2nd best offseason out of the entire NFL. And think about it. I mean, Jaden Daniels just had the best rookie season of all time. And in 2025, moving forward, compared to last year, he'll have 1, a way better offensive line. Way better. Laramie Tunsil's a top 3, at worst top 5 tackle in the NFL right now. Especially when we're talking about pure pass protection. He's arguably top 2, maybe somewhere there. At worst, top 3 there. It's just when you start to add in, run blocking, I think he's still elite, maybe even top 10, but his pass rushes is milk and butter. You know what I'm saying? So that already. Then left guard, Brandon Coleman, who did a great job. Trey Hendrickson led the NFL in sacks 2 years in a row. He couldn't do anything against Brandon Coleman when we went against him against Cincinnati week 3. Now, that guy, Brandon Coleman, that did that to Trey Hendrickson, is now going to move to his more natural position, where I think ultimately his measurables, his athleticism, the type of player that he is, he's built like. Guard is going to be even better for him. So that guy that did a great job against Trey Hendrickson last year is moving to a position that he's going to be better at. Then center, Tyler Biotish, another Pro Bowler in the offensive line. Samuel Cosmi, when healthy, another Pro Bowler in the offensive line. We're 4-5 deep on the bench at guys that can replace Samuel Cosmi. We actually have like a real camp battle of who's going to start week 1 if Samuel Cosmi doesn't. Even though sounds like Samuel Cosmi from a lot of the things we're hearing from Dan Quinn. We'll definitely get an update on that when, late July, same time we start hearing things about what's going on with Noah Brown. We'll probably get another Samuel Cosmi update. And like we talked about earlier, man, he's sort of like ahead of schedule right now. He may be ready by week 1, but even if he isn't, I'm not worried at all. We have so much depth there, so many starting caliber offensive linemen that are going to be backups competing for that spot right there. Do not dare to rush Samuel Cosmi back. And then right tackle Josh Connolly, the guy that literally erased Abdul Carter from a game when he played Penn State. When Oregon played Penn State, the guy, Abdul Carter, no sacks, no quarterback hits, not even a quarterback pressure. This offensive line is going to be so insane next year. This upcoming season, Jaden Daniels has to be so happy. And then 2, Jaden Daniels has way better weapons around him compared to last year. Now, granted, this is assuming that Noah Brown's healthy, but compared to last year, we lost De'Ami Brown, Alameda Zaccheaus, and Jamison Crowder. But in return, we gained Deebo Samuel, and we drafted Jalen Lane, and we're potentially getting a way better version of Luke McCaffrey. If anything that we've saw from mandatory minicamp is indicative of what his future may hold for him. And then maybe we even have KJ Osborne, who's finally maybe learned the offense a little bit, or even Michael Gallup if he's able to stay healthy. Jaden Daniels didn't have enough guys last year, really outside of Terry McLaurin, that could really score a touchdown without having to catch the touchdown already standing in the end zone. We didn't have a guy that could catch the ball and then go score the touchdown for Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels had to do all of the work, and even Terry McLaurin getting shoestring tackled so many times. It was so frustrating. So this team is just way better around Jaden Daniels, offensive line-wise, weapons-wise, but also the defense will be better. The only question for me is how much. I know for a fact this defense should be better than what it was last year. We didn't even have the talent on paper. Joey Jr. and Dan Quinn may do what they had, but the secondary alone, the run stopping alone is going to be way better than what we had last year. Remember, Benjamin St. Juste, Emmanuel Forbes, and Michael Davis got real playing time in real meaningful games last year. No more. We have a healthy 100% healthy, no more hamstring issue. Marshawn Lattimore, Trey Amos, and then Mike Sanderson's only going to get better. You bring over Jonathan Jones, who started for the Patriots, at least played starting level snaps for the Patriots last year. And then Noah Benogany, man, is elite depth. I mean, he was a starting slot corner for us last year and was pretty decent. Now he's a backup. So you can tell the secondary just got way better. In the run defense, first of all, when you're dead last, it can't do anything but go up from the last year. But I also think that it's not just going to go up. We're going to go from the worst run defense last year to potentially a top 10 run defense. I'm that confident in the offseason moves they made there. We'll see about rushing the passer, but the defense is going to be way better. And Jordan McGee being healthy alone. Joey Jr. even admitted it himself. We had entire plays and packages designed around Jordan McGee. So when he was on and off, hurt most of the season, it really hurt our defense. Without Jordan McGee, you either had to choose one. Either we're going to be able to cover by having an extra DB on the field, but now we're susceptible against the run, or we're going to have another linebacker on the field that can run stop, but can't cover for nothing. Like that one time Alvin Kamara caught, I think that was Michael Walker lacking. Jordan McGee is the answer to both. He can cover and stop the run. He's going to be a huge difference for our defense compared to last year just by himself. And so even the special teams will be better. And the reason I'm saying that is because with the defense being better and the special teams being better, especially the return game, Jaden Daniels is going to start start with better field position on average as well. So this team is trending towards not even forcing Jaden Daniels to have to carry this entire team. I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. Last year, out of all 14 teams that made the playoffs, we were the worst team on paper. It was purely effort, Jaden Daniels, and elite coaching that took us all the way there. And I feel like Jaden Daniels was the majority of it. Now we actually have a team around him that he won't have to carry. He'll have to do his part. He'll have to ball out and be Jaden Daniels, but hopefully he never has to lead our team in rushing again and do all kinds of magic tricks all of the time. Occasionally, but not literally carrying the team all the way to an NFC Championship game where the team let him down. You know what I'm saying? He had a better game isolated from everything around him than Jalen Hurts had. Jalen Hurts, of course, had the better stats, but he had the far better team. Jaden Daniels had a really good game. Everybody around him just folded, fumbling, dropping passes, all kinds of stuff. Now, I'm not saying that we have a dominant roster like the University of Georgia Eagles over there, but even though I think they won't even be as good in 2025 as they were in 2024, and I think we got better. Is that enough to necessarily close the gap? I'm not sure. It's going to take Jaden Daniels to make up that difference, because outside of quarterbacks, I still feel like the Eagles have a better roster than us if you remove both quarterbacks. But at the same time, we did take a huge step forward compared to last year, and I think the Eagles did take a minor step back. Again, I'm not saying that we've necessarily surpassed them in overall roster, but I think Jaden Daniels is great enough to make up that difference for us to beat them, especially when it matters most in the playoffs. Let's go win this division so we can get some home field advantage, man. Jalen Hurts has never won an away playoff game yet, man. Let's force him to do that this upcoming playoffs, man. Let's go get this division. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know if you about everything discussed in the video. Please still follow that like button, still follow the subscription button, and still follow the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned to all of the content. Really appreciate y'all. Of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about both halves of this video. How do you feel about Noah Brown potentially his injury not being as serious as we initially feared? We'll see. Let me know how you feel about that. If you feel like John Keim is correct, and then if Noah Brown's injury is serious, how do you feel like the Commanders will have to adjust to make up for it? And then also, of course, the second half of the video, how do you feel about people feeling like that we had the second best offseason out of the entire NFL? Let me know how y'all feel about all of that. Again, I'm going to try my best to get a little bit of free time to read and reply to as many comments as possible, but I really appreciate y'all. I appreciate all of the love and everything like that. Make sure you leave a like on the way out. I'm going to catch y'all later. I'm out.